and welcome to the last meeting for the calendar year. It's certainly got away quickly, and I think Max, you haven't notified everyone, have you, about the next meeting's on the. We're going to have a meeting in January.
Yeah, the 19th. We've all been about it.
Know about it?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the date. No, I don't.
19th. And then we've got a meeting on the 8th. No, that's for the Australia. Yeah, that's.
But there'll be a general council meeting on the 9th.
No, yeah, and that's an all-day workshop. That's right.
Yes.
It'll include a tour of the existing office and Adam's garage, so you get some feel for what we're talking about.
Did you get those photos?
Yes, I'll pass them on to. We're going to ask. I can never remember how to pronounce their name. The organisation that was helping us look at what we could do with the existing.
Struxy.
Okay, we're going to be getting a quote from them to do the design, and I've passed on those photographs too.
Okay. Right, so our first we've got a call for apologies. Actually, got two.
Yeah, Councillor D. Colton and also Alex Eddy, who is unavailable today.
And I move, somebody like to move that they be accepted. Mr. Galvin, Mr. Matthews, those in favour say aye. Aye. Now, the confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 24th of November. Somebody like to move they be taken as read and confirmed, please. Mr. Galvin, and seconded. Councillor Egan, with that motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. It's okay. Okay, now we do have a presentation today from the Auditor General's office, or from somebody representing that group. And I'm not sure whether Councillor McFarlane is on air or not.
Councillor Colton, yes, I am here.
Oh, thank you. Well, welcome to our meeting. And I think the easiest way now is just to hand over to you.
Okay, if you're ready to suspend and get started. Okay, so yes, you were right, Helen. I am just going to go through the report on the conduct of audit.
You could hear all that frivolity, could you?
I did.
I've got a councillor in the room that thought she was doing it.
Yeah, I've got a councillor, Catherine, beside me, and she's getting a bit upset that she was the one going to be doing it.
Going, yeah, I didn't know anything about it.
She's very relieved that you're going to go.
So I have emailed you all that report just now if you want to look at it while Catherine's going through it.
So just so you're aware, so the report is that we have issued an unmodified opinion on your general purpose, special purpose and special schedules. Now, with the general purpose, you did receive an emphasis of matter in there. It's not that nothing is incorrect in your statements, everything is correct, which is why the opinion is unmodified. The emphasis of matter is just to bring your attention to the possibility that council has used external restricted funds subsequent to balance date for their purposes other than intended use. That's all.
And the reason that hasn't been confirmed or denied is there's so much checking to do it. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So we're comfortable that you haven't used, but that has been cleared by the 30th of September, which is what you declared in your financial statements. We just do not know in between from the 1st of July to the 30th of September where that sits exactly, if you've used funds or not. And that is a lot of work for council to do if they sort that out. So that will be the one thing that will also impact this coming financial year because it is now in this financial year. But that's just a different matter to be aware of. Okay, so other significant issues that we've noted from the audit this year is that there's a couple of management letter points that have been outstanding now in their 4th year. So therefore, then they've been raised from a moderate risk level to a higher risk level. And these are reported in your report on conduct. So the first one is the infrastructure, property, plant and equipment impairment risk assessment. So council currently doesn't actually have a formal process or not a documented formal process for that. You actually do that impairment assessment. It's just no formal process documented. And the other one is the fraud control. That's on the second page. And that's to do with the fact that there is no actual fraud control plan in place that could help identify or manage potential fraud risks or suspected corrupt behaviour.
Can I just butt in there, Catherine? Since we got that letter at the last ARIC meeting, that was put on the agenda, so it's already been dealt with now.
Yep, no, that's great to know that.
We also had a report on that at least 2 years ago in an ARIC meeting.
So it's the same one. We've just got to go through it all again and update everything and make sure it's current.
Okay.
Sounds good. That way we'll probably get it off the list next year. This coming year. Okay. All right. So then we move to your income statement and your operating results. So your rates and annual charges revenue increased by 1.8% to the 11.3 million. So, sorry, I should talk. We do round to the nearest thousand in the millions when we start talking. So. Okay. And then, of course, your grants and contributions revenue increased by 76.2% up to 25.9 million. And that's because you've completed a lot more projects and with the grant funding that you've received. This then impacts into your operating result from continuing operations. So that's given you an increase of greater than 100% there so your actual result was 9.6 million compared to the prior year, which was 2.4. Okay. When you take out the grant, so this is the key one, because this is now your operating result before capital grants and contributions, you've actually got a deficit of 4.6 million this year compared to the prior year of 1.7. Does anyone want any further explanation on that, or?
I think we probably all understand why that is, but it's always a tough one, where you have to support or you have to provide, say, $2 to get 10 in a grant situation. The mentality in this room is that we do it, and there's a whole lot of money been floating around, as you would know. And that probably accounts for some of that anyway.
Yes, yeah. So long as you're aware of why it's occurring, that's the main reason. That. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then I'll move on to page 3, which is your statement of cash flows. So you can see that your operating activity remained consistent across the years. So that's meaning your cash for normal operating has occurred and remained consistent. Then you've got your cash outflows from investing activities, and this increased by 9.4. So you had an increase in capital expenditure of 6.3 million this year for infrastructure, property, plant and equipment, and that would relate, a fair bit of that would relate back to your capital grants that you've had to spend money on. And it goes onto the balance sheet. You've also had an increase in investments of 4.4 million. And then this was offset by an increase of 1.3 million in your proceeds from sales of infrastructure, property and plant and equipment as well. Okay. And your financing cash flows, activity for cash flows have actually been consistent across the year as well. So your cash and investments overall is that your total cash increased slightly. Unfortunately, your external restrictions also increased slightly, but it's what has actually caused this other emphasis of matter issue in your financial statements. And because that's where you ties up funds that you can't use for other purposes. So, and then of course you had a slight increase in your internal restrictions as well, which council. So is there any questions regarding any of that, or?
We have Helen has educated us. We've been through it fairly well when we were doing our budget. And I think if anybody's got a question, please put your hand up. But we've been over it, and I think most people are probably right with it.
Yep. No, that's good. That's fine. Sometimes some people need a bit more of explanation. Okay, so when we come to your performance measures, so we start with the fact that you've actually met 2 of the OLG performance benchmark measures. So you've done quite well there. And then you've got 4 that are currently not met. So as you would see from page 4, first one not met is your operating performance ratio. And this ratio is actually reduced significantly due to an increase in capital grants and contributions. So that was, as you were before saying, that you have to spend $2 to get the other $2.
Catherine, there'd be a lot of councils nearly all councils our size would be in the same boat there, wouldn't they?
They are, definitely. Yeah. Everyone's had a very big decrease in their operating performance ratio this year. Okay. So the other one currently is your not met is your own source operating revenue. This year it decreased from the benchmark. And again, that is due to the decrease in your user charges and fees, actually. There's a significant decrease there that caused that one. So that's your, I believe, your RMCC contract.
Oh, yes.
State roads. We then have your unrestricted current ratio. You've actually met that. Oh, no, did not meet. Sorry, looking at the wrong thing. But it has actually improved from the prior year. And that was due to the fact that you actually had an increase in receivables at year end. That was partially offset by the increase to the landfill provision financials. Then you've also got the not met is on page 6, which is your cash expense cover ratio. And that ratio has decreased due to the reduction in cash and cash equivalents due to increased actual receivables owing at the year end for the infrastructure property projects that were completed in June. The way the milestones work, until those jobs were completed, you couldn't actually invoice. You have to use cash before you can get it in.
Yeah, they would not pay, would they? The bypass was a problem.
So the other one on the report on the conduct of audit is just talks about the property infrastructure property plant and equipment renewals. So it does say that you've increased your infrastructure works or renewal works this year due to the receiving an increase in capital to allow you to do that. So unfortunately, sometimes I know the financials don't actually reflect what's actually happening out there on the ground. So that one's always a little bit iffy, I find. Talk about.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're up to at the end of the financial year. It'll change the next month.
That's correct.
And we've had, and everybody else, every other council had the same problem with the weather, trying to get out there and get some of the money spent, some of the grant money spent.
Correct.
So keeping. Yeah, the sun's shining now, so we're
that's
all
right.
Holidays for Christmas. Okay,
so that's the end of the report. Was there any questions or anything that anyone had?
Any questions, anybody? Can I add a comment? And I guess you're probably hearing this everywhere, and I don't know whether you have a direct line to the audit office or not, but we're fairly disappointed in having to apply for an extension when we were all ready to go. And I know that I think every council across the New England JO were the same. And it just, to me, it's very disappointing when Helen does her utmost, her and her crew, to get this ready, and then the audit office isn't ready. And it's something that's been imposed on us in the last few years. It's an extra cost, and now we're finding it to be very inefficient. So if you could take that message back, that we're fairly disappointed with the process. We were pretty happy with the way it was. This extra level of check is probably not that necessary, I don't think. And it seems like the department's not big enough to handle it.
Yeah. As you can imagine, the resourcing issues across the sector are pretty bad for everywhere. So, okay, I can certainly pass that on. Were you planning to put that into writing at all? Or just happy?
Probably depend on the meeting today. I don't know that we want to do that. We don't want to get offside with the audit office, but it's that extra layer that we don't need. And I think when the staffing's not sufficient to complete the task, then to me it's ridiculous. I think it's ludicrous that we have to do it. That's just my humble opinion.
No, and that's fair enough. There's definitely been feedback all around from all councils at this stage, back to the audit office about the process this year.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to pass that on for you. I just asked the question about if it's in writing, just so that I can warn them that it's in writing. Otherwise, I just feed it back. So,
yeah. All right. Oh, well, we'll consider that. But
yeah, you don't have to. Yeah.
No. All right. Yeah. I like to keep all doors open.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
You have any comment? Thanks. No.
Except thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
No.
I know that you're the messenger. I'm not casting any blame on you, but and apart from all that, it's a ministerial decision, isn't it, that the audit office get involved?
Correct. It is actually under state legislation, as far as I'm aware these days, that the audit office audits all councils. So
yeah, that's right. Okay. Anybody got anything? Sounds like they're all satisfied. Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
And you too.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Conflicts and
Okay.
no,
I don't know.
I don't think there are.
No, on with the meeting then. Item 6 on my agenda is corporate conflicts of interest. Declaration of interest, gifts received in conflicts of interest. Do you have any? I think that I made, I don't know, this on the first item there, to do with the showground. Yeah, there's a Carlton mentioned there. It's all pretty minor detail. That's not on the committee. Okay. Additional, we don't have additional.
Yeah, we do.
Mayoral minute. What are you looking for? Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah, well, okay, so I'm asking if you would like to include on the agenda the following additional items. One's being the mayoral minute that was circulated. Item 8.8, Heritage Park, Warialda. Item 8.9, well, we've done that, the present.
No, but it's formally it needs to be put on.
It needs to be put on, okay. So could I have somebody move that they be accepted on the agenda? Councillor Egan, Councillor Galvin, seconded. Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Well, that finalises it. Next item is the mayoral minute, and well, you've all read that. I don't read it. I'm not going to read
I
it.
didn't realise we did so much until I read it. It was good.
It's not a bad thing to put on every year,
Yeah.
actually, and see what the achievement.
See what, yeah, you sort of, time goes so fast. You'd think that happened ages ago, but
I think you could add to that Warney died, Bridget Bardot turned 88. You know what else?
That wasn't our fault though.
No, you wouldn't know. It might be.
no, it was a good read.
All right. Well, what do I do? Move the adoption of those maps? I'll do that. I'll move the adoption of the now and then. Can I have a second? Councillor Egan, the deputy mayor. I'll put that there, those in favour say aye. Okay, thank you. Officers report, inclusion of Wider River Run incorporated to the Vingra Showground user group. So is there a comment on this from Vingra end?
No, happy to have it happen,
Yeah.
and they're aware of the fact that they're coming up, and it puts money in the coffers for the council. Have been doing the work, at least this way we've got,
Yeah.
we're showing a $6,000 income sort of thing for working.
My initial thoughts on this were, wouldn't it be great if it was all the show? Dog trial and challenge, local challenge. But I was speaking to one of the committee, Richard Trigger, the other day, and he said that's not going to happen.
It's not happening. They're working outside the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
The show's got plenty on, and still the same small committees are working on
Yeah.
all the things.
So all these things could be running in conjunction, while the show's going, if you did it that way. I mean, you
Well,
could
we
go,
always did.
and you could go the third day if you needed to. But anyway, that's not happening. It's unfortunate.
And we've got two camp drive committees. We've
Yeah.
got the challenge committee.
Mm.
They're all so they've all got to contribute now. They
Yeah.
do it this way.
Yeah.
Contribution.
Anyway, what I could read, I can't see too much wrong with what they want to do. Is there anyone else got any comment on that?
And what happened with management and
It's going to raise a little bit of money though, so each user group's got to contribute
Yeah,
$1,000.
that's right.
That's
very
what
good.
they're
Pretty good.
to be a part of the group, they have to contribute
Contribute.
that money.
Yeah.
And that's just a little bit of. Thank you.
No reason why they should.
No, none at all.
Well, so can I have a move of the recommendation? That's good.
Yeah.
Councillor Dixon, Councillor Galvin. No comment, any further comment? I'll put the motion, those in favour say aye. No, carry. Item 8.2, executive services. I guess he's looking for questions, Mike, if there is any. I don't think I had anything out of this. Except that if, for Jeff and I that didn't know what St John's Walk looks like, there's a photo of it.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it before.
I think that every-
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
And it seems like on that priority weeds work, control works, St John's Walk features fairly highly on that page. So no questions in that report? Remember, we're here,
Happening, isn't
we're
it?
here till 5 o'clock.
I think
Fair bit happening on the
it's
building.
getting cold before five.
Yeah.
You cool down, Tiff, or yours?
Yeah, I'll cool down.
Thank goodness, we've just about.
I didn't bother to ask, I just updated.
We're going to go and get a jumper. That's why I wear a coat, it's always that cold.
The cartons of beer and wine are in one of those rooms, that's right.
Tell me what 10 Plot Private Cemetery is, that someone on that property wants.
Yes,
I'm
we'll
just
see who it is.
Where are the-
Names of it.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's processes that have to be put in place, like continuing access rights.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, family plot, by the look of it. On their property.
I thought we stopped it, but obviously we have.
No, there's been a couple throughout the year.
As and usually they leave it to the last minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's been a
We had to make
It looks well.
yes, but
I told you I was sick.
That wasn't big enough.
No, that's only 10, yeah, so I thought. Anyway, is there any other questions? Because I'm looking for a recommendation. All right, move it. Councillor Egan's moved it, second it. I'm going to get someone.
we've got to try and spread it out.
Councillor Dixon, yeah, right there. Councillor Dixon, seconded. I'll put the motion. Those in favour, say aye. Aye. No, okay. Keep going. Organisation Community Service.
Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
You seem to have had, I've got to find it again now, like you seem to have had quite a few applicants for jobs and things like that.
Yes, we have had. Very good. In the last 12 months, it's been quite pleasing, and there's been an element of quality as well, not just mass applicant. Really nice to have choice.
Yeah.
I always like to point you towards the monthly action report.
Yeah.
And see how we're progressing against what you've determined is important. The operational plans for the year.
You got anything you want to mention there?
No, not specifically, just that it's an important part of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of reading if you go through all that, but it is interesting. I get it.
Yeah.
I get an interest in it.
And I imagine each of you have special interest areas, so even if you just do the progression of that is rewarding for us.
Yeah, and I think it makes it good that everybody's got different interests in different areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, boring if we all focused on the same thing.
It's just roads, it would be tragic.
It obviously takes a bit of doing, but does it take very long? Like there'll be some
No, it's
sort of away from the.
it is. It's a computer. It's a software package, and all we have to do is update it monthly. We as people.
If you get into trouble, just let me know.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So far, Justin's helping us, but if he can't help us, we'll ring him.
I'll not take it. Make it up, just do it.
Oh, dear, he knows what. I'll get into trouble with him.
right. Any questions there? Anything else? Probably be more questions when we get to the comprehensive one, I think. All right, so officers report. It's the report we received and noted. I'm going to move in a second. Then Councillor Mulligan, Councillor Smith. Two different ones.
Two late ones.
I'll put that motion, those in favour, say aye. Aye. No, carry. What have I got to now? I'll go way back.
Certain rates correction.
Yeah, what page?
64.
No, well, my trust. Yeah.
I like these new iPads so you can highlight. Now I've worked out to save it into OneDrive.
Yeah, right.
So 8.4 investment.
I do that lots, yeah.
Something had gone wrong there, and I couldn't work it out.
Yeah, I
From the
couldn't.
new and I thought, what the hell? Can't I get my old iPad back? But they are good, yeah.
But 8.4 investment and rates collection.
So just the standard monthly report. You'll notice that interest rates are slowly creeping up. We are keeping them at a monthly turnover just so that we can, as soon as the rates do go up, we can cash in on that.
What's your best getting? 3% from 28 days, 30 days.
And that's about the highest you'll get, even if you lock it in for a lot longer. But the way they're creeping up, I don't think it's worth locking it in for too long at the moment. Rates collection is where it should be. We have had the first lot of letters go out from our new third-party debt collection service, so I'm not sure whether you've been contacted by anyone in the public about it, but I think it's working well, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We haven't got that many outstanding, have we?
It's been a long time though since we have sent letters out because we did put it all on hold through the drought and the uncertain times. So there would have been a fairly large amount of letters that did go out, but some of them would just be making new arrangements and things like that. So hopefully having a third party might make people more likely to call and talk to someone that's not in the local community.
So do we have any heavily outstanding that are sort of at the point of?
We do have some 5-year properties that'll be probably brought to council.
Yep, so
consideration.
this agency is working on that as well. They're going through and working on what land we do have on our books that can be put up for sale. You've just got to have a reasonable number to make it worthwhile. It's a pretty onerous process, but that report will come to council as soon as they've only just started. So
Was it Walker or Gar or somewhere close by sold quite a bit there?
yeah,
There was
think now's
something
probably-
in the newsletter the other day I read where they sold it.
yeah. Now's probably the time to do it. That we'll probably get all our rates back. And,
Be one of the most unpleasant things you could ever do, I'd
It
imagine.
is.
It's, but, you know, to be fair to everybody else.
Yeah. And I think we haven't done it in the last 10 years. I've been here 11 and we haven't once done it.
It hasn't been done in my time, I don't think.
Yeah, so, and I mean, it's not, council will get the list and then
Yeah.
we can work it out
Yeah.
from there,
Yeah.
so.
My understanding, a lot of it's vacant land.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not homes.
Some of
No.
them are people that have actually tried to give the land back to council, which they can't actually do, so.
So the way to do it is stop paying your rates. That's right. Yeah.
What about ones that are still in their houses or just fail to pay? Is there many of them?
I don't believe so. I haven't seen the list yet. But that we'll do a pretty deep dive and see. That they go through every step we can possibly go through before it gets to that point, so.
Pretty.
Pretty uncomfortable thing to have to do. But you know, I suppose you've got to look at it from the overall perspective of all the other ratepayers, don't you? And they're given every possible chance, and you can still come and make arrangements and pay it off. Yeah.
And they're not arrangements that are overly onerous to begin with. If they can't afford it, we will accept just about anything to allow them to put a plan in place to pay it off in the future. They've just got to be making some contribution.
Yeah.
We're not tight and stringent and saying, well, it has to be this much, and we do everything we possibly can.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there any other questions on Helen? That rates collection curve doesn't change, does it? It just seems to follow the year before. Yeah.
You'd have a big percentage, Helen, on, direct debit now, wouldn't you?
Yes. There's a huge, when the drought kind of really hit, a lot of people went on payment arrangements and they've continued to keep them. And that's why that curve is so consistent.
Yeah.
People just have gotten into the habit of having it come out every week, fortnight or monthly. And
Would you have 60% of them?
I'll get the exact figure for you if you like.
Oh, no.
It'd have to be,
It'd have to be up there.
Yeah. If you're talking,
Mine's been continuous.
yeah, if you're talking assessments, it would be probably that. Value-wise, possibly not. Because a lot of the bigger places aren't on arrangements, they just pay in big lump sums. But yeah, assessment-wise, it would probably be 60%.
Okay, would somebody like to make the recommendation? Councillor Matthews, seconded Councillor Moore. Put that motion, those in favour say aye. Aye. Okay, 8.5 Regional Water Strategy, Broad Rivers. This seems to be applying for more water seems to be a very painful process. And slow.
But you can see that our advocacy has been incorporated into the plan now for both North Star and.
Yes, I did see that, yeah.
And also, I couldn't find, but I couldn't find the, it looks as though the Gravesend Dam has withered and died on the vine.
It was pretty interesting. Well, I found it fascinating that the irrigators didn't really want it because they had to pay for it. I mean, with true water, and the price of water was going to go up. And when you consider how much farm storage there is now, it was considered that it was just not viable. Yeah. But I haven't seen that it's been dropped either.
No, it didn't pass the, they reviewed the economic viability of a whole lot of projects, and that one didn't get a go.
No, I can see why. It was going to be shallow water.
Evaporation.
Yeah.
Max, did we ever get a reply? We're going to write to the People about releasing the water out.
Catherine
And,
Dam?
Watered.
No, there has been no reply to date.
That was prior to the last.
That was
big
the,
one.
yeah,
And we had the big one.
Yeah.
it was before the big one.
She was. Yeah.
We have a lot of grounds there because all that washout and everything, that was due to that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I don't know where they were monitoring the river, but it wasn't at Bingra.
So
You know, in
anyway,
their press release, they said they only released that water after they'd established there wouldn't be much damage.
But there was damage all the way down.
so have we invited them to come and look at the damage?
I've written the letter, I haven't.
I donated to the
Why don't
letter,
we
they won't
invite
let it come.
I don't think they're going to take any notice. Like,
But it was just a shame
I
that the
know.
city erosion, wasn't
Yeah.
it? The bank erosion was disappointing.
The tree loss, everything that we lost,
Yeah.
has just made the river look, it
looks awful.
It's spoiled. Yeah, it is.
But it's also the work, like, I mean, at the moment, like you've got people saying about what are we going to do with the tree in the river and the table and chairs and this and that, and even further down. But we've also got the road damage, which is probably
More important.
because, yeah, so.
I don't know what you can do about the river anyway. I know
No,
you can't
because-
restore the bank.
No, you
can't restore it.
You're not allowed to. restore it.
yeah. We have the greenies on our back next month.
And the way it's, I mean, they allow those little banks to fill up, so we create a new one this time, and the river's just getting wider and wider,
Yeah.
and as they turn it off, it'll just become a slimy, dirty,
When the dam
it
stops
won't have
releasing.
anything going for, because they allow those middle bits to spread the water shallower and shallower.
I don't know what else they could have done, to be honest. Apart from letting the water out when it wasn't raining earlier, but they, will be interesting to get their side of the story. But their remit is to store irrigation water, and if they let it down to 80%, it doesn't rain again. They'd be getting heaps of complaints.
I think that happens on every dam. You look at this thing. All those Queensland dams, they're all complaining about the same things.
I'd hate to be trying to run it.
John, from an emergency management perspective, I heard that SES were discussing that and afterwards. And it's basically, that was the water that was coming in from Mundara is what went through.
Yeah.
And now that the dam's full, they can hold it back and it has some flood mitigation capacity, but what comes in is directly reflected straight back out.
So there was no more than what was flowing in, is that right, Carl?
Yep.
I thought that must have
So
been.
you get a 6 metre flood going in, you'll get a 6 metre
Yeah.
flood.
When it's fully.
And they didn't let it out earlier because it would have added to the peak from the Horton, and it would have been even worse than the 16.2 metres at Gravesend. So you'll find that Horton went through, and then the next day, a lesser peak came through Bingra, and that's what came through to Moree. So it was 16.2 from Horton, and then it was only about 15. What you saw going through Bingra was less than what the Horton was putting into the river, believe it or not.
Oh,
And it was a lower peak.
And I suppose the other way of looking at it is lost a bit of bank and a bit of infrastructure, nothing like more either.
No.
Yarra, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
That's just down, just under the golf course with black plastic all over it.
I think so.
It looks,
We know where it is. Just haven't been able to get in to get it yet.
What's that? The what?
Part of it anyway. Part of it's gone.
But we're about to have a design undertaken for that area where the fairy tree was. What we can do to the bank, how we can, improve the area, and put in place protections when we put the pontoon back. So,
You might be able to put
and we've got
a rock wall or something.
yeah, and we've got $750,000 to do it, a state grant. So,
So when did that come? That's new. Because it wasn't available, was it?
no, that was under another.
that came before the flood.
Yeah.
It was really slow getting.
And now we've got to use that money to fix up rather than
Yeah.
enhance.
Yeah.
No, anyway, that's good to get the money. All right, well, that was We're still on your report, Helen. Did I get it?
Are we allowed to take the fairy tree out of the river, or you're not?
That's gonna,
use
no,
it?
no, we'll be applying to have it removed. from the
Yeah.
river.
Because I didn't know where this.
Their preference, they said, was to leave it there or to move it back towards the dam, I think. But we're going to apply to have it removed. But
Yeah.
we've got to do it so we can.
So that big gum
Probably stand on it. Yeah.
Pardon?
It was all, yeah, that one. It was all green until, what, a couple of weeks ago, and now it's dead now.
And you can see just how big it is too now with the water level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Just put it down to plain knowledge.
Not knowledge that it's too early.
Yeah, I know.
Stars me, I know.
Not a generation.
Lot of story, there'd be a lot of stories under there too. I say.
Further,
I'm not sure you want to know some of that.
I need a mover and a seconder of the recommendation for the regional water study. I don't have that.
Yeah, and then I love it.
Thank you, Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Galvin. Put that motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No, carried. What's the next one, country matters?
Country mayor's
Yeah,
meeting.
country matters. Well, there it is in front of you, we've got a new president and deputy in Jamie Chaffey and truckies, tomorrow, yeah. Rick Thurman. Both those positions were uncontested. I think I gave a bit of a report on this before, didn't I? You can thought, so no need to go through it.
Spoke about once.
Somebody like to know the report we received and noted for Councillor Egan, Councillor Mulligan, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
So you can see the election, the country mayor's election priorities there. They're pretty much Jamie Chaffey wrote all that. There was
Carmody wasn't a jockey, was he?
Carmody.
Carmody wasn't a jockey, was
Yeah,
he?
he was. Craig Carmody's jockey.
Same one that's doing.
Oh,
No, this was a big fella.
I thought you meant Mr. Craig. I was going to say
That's what
Craig
I'm
Carmody was it.
Yeah.
jockey.
No, he had a good background. I think he worked for Maersk, is it? You know, the shipping company in Holland. Worked there for 4 or 5 years. He knows the game. The councillors with schedules. Any got any objection to that? It's usually pretty generous. I mean, don't always get to all of them. It's what's on the calendar. I think I did do all that stuff. So somebody like to move the report we received noted. Councillor Galvin and second Councillor Egan. Those in favour say aye. Aye. The next one is the Heritage Park. Kelly, you've been reporting to council about this a bit.
Heritage Park,
The cemetery.
I think we might wait for that report to be, how much?
It's,
Does it say that report is still being prepared?
it was,
Got it in a separate
Separate place.
email that came through.
I did read that actually. I'm just not too sure where they're up to with it now, but,
Well, they want the name changed back and
yeah.
they want it, the dogs taken out of it. And, was that it?
Yeah. and we moved the off-leash area to Captain Cook Park, and there's a plan attached to the report of where it will go.
That on the end, that's on the end of Captain Cook Park.
On the caravan park end, I think.
On Caravan
Yeah,
Park.
yeah. And it's just a fence really, they only change it. Sort of things, but you've got games for the dogs. I think that's what the historical committee requested is what we're recommending, isn't it?
Yeah. It was.
That's why I was checking with you, Kelly, make sure you talk.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a name change thing, and the school is actually here.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know.
The other thing is.
No, the school is only built on the reservation. There were no graves. It was just part of it. Because
The name's more further back.
Further back.
Yeah.
And it's the school, it's only the oval and just a corner of the oval.
Yeah.
The closest corner to Apollo Avenue, like
Oh, yeah.
bottom corner.
The other thing is that apparently the wall with the headstones in it, there's something wrong in the mortar, which is eroding the writing on headstones, which is a disappointment, isn't it? I don't
And they
know.
were going to, when did that come through? Because it spoke about they're going to re-render it and that.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's not going to restore the writing on the
No.
rocks.
But when did this report, because I read it,
Well, I don't know, since the last couple of weeks, I suppose.
It wasn't very long.
I thought it was only this week.
Yeah, it was too.
Probably last Friday.
It was the end of last week.
I remember reading it because it had the plan and everything there.
Well, it might have been over the weekend.
Over the weekend, I think it was.
But the,
I heard it.
the plan, the management plan outlines what we would like to do, but it'd be subject to budget allocations.
Yeah, but the name change can happen.
I saw,
And the off-leash dog area is happening, so
I saw something
we
in
need
it
to have
that
that in the recommendation, I think.
Yeah, it is in the,
Oh, sorry,
was
no.
quite expensive. What was, wait a minute, hang on, I've got
I
it.
don't have anything, I've got to
if you go to the,
we go to this. It's okay. All right, well, I'll read the recommendation that the off-leash air is discontinued at the site. Further, that the current sign is replaced, removing the off-leash symbol and reverting to the name of the area of Pioneer Cemetery. Further, that the updated cemetery action plan is adopted and implemented as appropriate budget allocation become available. And further, that an off-leash area is designated Captain Park outlined on the plan, and
that's it.
so somebody like to move that way. Councillor Egan and Councillor Galvin again. Is there any other discussion, I should say? If not, I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Now carried. Order the presentation. So what do you want to do with that next?
Oh, well, I think we should just acknowledge that Catherine McFarlane made the presentation and we thank her for it. And if you wanted to, you could then do something about the audit office if you wanted to.
I don't particularly want to do that. Just feels more like an opportunity to message. But it's
I was suggesting an explosive device.
That was considered over the last few months.
Thank you, Doctor. Remotely detonated.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's absolutely no point complaining to the audit office because it's a ministerial or a state government thing that they've, I suppose it was the Minister for Local Government, I don't know, or the Treasurer, somebody instigated this. And the audit office is not, they don't have the numbers to do it.
No, but I think it's frustrating when local government are expected to find the resources and do whatever they need to do to get the resources to do their job.
Yeah.
And at that higher level where they can pay staff huge amounts of money, if that's what they have to do to attract them, and they don't. And then we get hit with the, well, we're resource poor, so you'll just have to wait.
Well, and the other thing is that it was only a few years ago we were getting into trouble from them for not having it ready, not having our books ready for the audit. And then the other thing that I thought was weird, that they couldn't do our audit when our books were ready, so we had to apply for an extension.
Yes.
They should have been applying.
So the way the Act reads, it has to be the council that applies for the extension. They can't.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons you cannot apply for an extension is lack of resources. It specifically states lack of resources, not a valid reason, which we couldn't apply for a few years ago. We got in trouble because we couldn't apply for an extension because that was why. Yet that's the reason they made us apply, but had to say that it was a industry-wide shortage, and it's just frustrating.
The other, what I look at too is that if somebody's going back through the records in 100 years' time, they're going to say, geez, this council was slack.
Yep.
Don't worry us.
We've been Pioneer Park, Jeff. No, but you know what I mean? It's not a good look.
It's frustrating when we've done everything we've been required to do. We did our part completely, and then we still.
And you busted yourself to get it.
First in
Now,
first address, we shouldn't still have got into that.
No,
Anyway.
it's just frustrating. That's all. But like you said, I think causing too big a kerfuffle doesn't help us for next year.
I don't think it does either. I mean, if there's something really wrong.
And that's why we feed them really well when they come every year.
Yeah.
They'll do the right thing by us, and that still didn't look us.
No. Anyway, it is an injustice, I think.
Yes.
Just go and watch an episode of Yes Minister and you'll feel better.
I love that show.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
So how do you want to handle this, Max?
Oh,
It's recorded on the minutes.
I've just recorded that
You have done
we
it.
thank Catherine for her presentation.
Okay, that's good.
So you've got a mover and second.
Oh, there's somebody with that. We thank Catherine. Thank you. Councillor Matthews and seconded. Councillor Mulligan has the reading. But those in favour say aye. 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 Thank you. Councillor reports is the next thing. So do councillor reports now, if you're happy, or if you have one that's a bit contentious, we'll do it in confidential session, but I'll start and go around this way this time. Tiffany.
No, the business house committee met on Tuesday night just for a brief meeting to see where we're up to. We've got our grazing on the Guida, which is on the 18th of March. There was quite a good roll-up. There was the new businesses came to it. And we spoke about where this Saturday we're having music in the park and extended trading. But there was lots of positive things came out of it. It's an informal group. And it seems to be working that way. I think I spoke about in the last meeting that 2020 is going a different way and they want to work with the business houses and...
So you're still two independent bodies though?
Beg your pardon?
You are still two
independent, but they want to work with us and help with events, and they've got some money there. So we're looking, last year, remember we tried to get Justin Herald and then to come and speak.
Yes.
We had him in Warialda and he was amazing. So 2020 said that they will come on board and get him in Bingra, like money-wise, which will...
What did it cost too? Do you know?
I can't remember. I have to talk to...
Very expensive.
It was expensive.
About $8,000.
But I thought it was really worth it. And I think it's one that we can push for the school kids. I think he had a lot that school kids would be interested. So that's our plan for next year to get him. But as I said, we've got music in the park this Saturday and then grazing on the Guida. There was a bit of Gary McDougall sent an email saying that there was some Greek festival or something happening on the 18th of March and sort of thought it would be a good idea if we changed our thing, but we've had that booked in, grazing in the Guida.
Where's the Greek festival?
Bingra. Yeah.
No one really.
And I think they're going to enhance everything. Like they're going to make it it's going to make a big weekend of
So
it.
is that 2020 doing a Greek festival like that?
No, it's not 2020. I don't know who's doing it.
We don't fit their own society.
It's who?
It's the Kithaeron Society
Well, they're doing it themselves. And they've
in
selected Bingra.
conjunction with council. So they come.
Ethereum.
Oh,
That's it.
Criterion.
Yeah.
So they've sort of come every 5 years, but they haven't been because of COVID, but
Oh,
they're
I see.
returning.
Yes.
So
But I think it's going to make grazing. I think it's going to be a great weekend because there's also a quilting weekend that weekend.
yes.
So there'll be lots on for the whole weekend, and I think our grazing will grow with it.
All right. Thanks.
18th of March, same day, and we can't change ours because I booked the band 6 months ago.
19th, isn't it?
Pardon?
Is ours the 19th?
No, ours is the 18th,
All right.
and which is the Saturday, and then the plan is to have it block off the main street like we did last year, and then from 2:00 we go down to the river, and we've got contingency plan band playing down there from 2 till 6.
If that's one advantage, it's not quite so far to the river now. It's
Yeah.
pretty close to the town.
Yes.
So we'll have that, and I think that with the quilters and the Greeks that are coming to town, I think it's going to make a big weekend.
Okay.
The Greeks will fit in with you anyway.
Yeah.
That's it from you?
Yep.
Thank you, Jeff.
No, not really. The only thing I went out to Cropper Creek presentation on Tuesday, I think.
Thank you for that.
It was all pretty good. I gave a little bit of a talk just about how I've been doing it now for probably 10 years, and just how I've seen a lot of the kids from these smaller schools go through particularly Cropper Creek. And I think North Star's the same, but I followed a lot of them through because of the high school here, and some of the kids have gone away, and just said how good it was to see young kids out there that are from a small school, because there's a lot more community, that they're a lot tighter. The kids just get a lot more. They miss out on a lot of stuff in the bigger schools, but no, they were pretty impressed by the councils. What the council have done, particularly for the school. I know that a lot of them are still talking about roads and whatnot, but as far as the town and the school, they were pretty happy with what the council have done. So
Yeah, good. Thanks for doing that, Representative. Bill,
it's all on.
you went to North Star, Kelly.
Yeah, North Star, had a bit of balls up there. The Merrill, the council book and Mayor's Award wasn't there when I got there. Anyway, we got that organised. It just turned up later. That's fine. That's the same thing out there. Yeah, they're pretty impressed with what the council does, and also how the kids are going, and they're going away to school. A lot of those kids in the north, they don't come this way that much. So particularly in North Star, a lot of them go the other way, go to Toowoomba and the Gundy and that.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, that's just you can't get away from that now. That's all. The other thing that's been brought to attention a bit is the streets around the town. They seem to be not being cleaned as often as they should. They're in a bit of a mess, actually. Yeah. The other one was the airstrip. Bad in need slashing. I know we've got a few problems with having the staff to do it and that, but yeah, it's just things that get brought up. Our ambassador for Australia Day is Mr. Bob Fitzgerald. He's the 2019 New South Wales Volunteer of the Year. He's an ex-police commissioner, so that'll be interesting. I attended the presentation at the police at Inverell, and they kept coming back to the fact that it's a lot of the actual not people's problem, but what they do. Like they leave their cars unlocked at night and houses unlocked at night, and of course the kids in that roaming the streets have a tendency to break in and steal whatever.
Could be more in Brill than here.
More in Brill, yeah. But it's been happening down here a little bit.
Is it?
A couple of weeks, yeah.
Good in waves.
Yeah.
Didn't someone,
someone
someone woke up to somebody in their lounge room the other night here.
Yeah, that was.
Same night,
Yeah.
Who was
3
that?
cars were stolen.
Yeah.
Barney Hall.
Yeah, woke up and there was someone in her lounge room.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the bloke down on the corner down at the pub, they went into his house and took his wallet and keys and took his car. So anyway, they're not locking it up. Other than that, the new it's still got it's got the Chamber of Commerce elected a new president. I can't remember his name, so can't help you too much there. But
It's
there's
Adrian Wilmot.
Adrian, is it?
That's what I've heard.
Andrew Wilmot. Yeah.
Case.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he'd be all right.
I didn't get a list from him yet on it, but that's But anyway, it's still going.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
He's very positive in Australia.
Yeah.
See how he goes, I suppose. Time will tell.
Other than that, John, nothing really. No.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Councillor Matthews.
Leah and Susie Weber and I had a meeting to talk about following up on emergency housing. So we had good sort of brainstorming session. I was delegated the job of contacting a woman called Annabelle Nicole, who's the CEO of a women's shelter group that runs 8 shelters. And I've been in touch with her today, and the only time she could talk to me was this afternoon. So I have unfortunately not made personal contact with her, but I've read their website and read about how they got started, and and it was just someone's wife who came home one night and said, we need a women's shelter in Manly, and sort of made the man and woman who were responsible got things all started. So I'll be in touch with her. The other thing that I was responsible for was contacting Peter Turnbull to talk about the prospect of him supplying some small houses, just as a way of publicising himself and a way of providing some accommodation for limited time. So Leah's got some tasks, and Bev, my wife's undertaken to do some stuff as well.
So that housing would have to be come through council approval because it's got to be up to scratch, as you realise.
As I understand it, the last time I spoke to Peter, he was still waiting for some engineering approval about his places.
Was he?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that would need to go through the normal process.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you is your committee looking at Shire-wide or only at Bingley?
Shire-wide.
Shire-wide, yeah. What are you going to do? Survey the community or for the need, I mean?
Look, what we need to do is desensitise people to reporting problems.
Yeah.
So we thought we might sort of start a kind of pseudo support group under another name and just float the idea of providing emergency accommodation, because I'm sure the problem is much wider than is publicly acknowledged.
That's my next question, Chris. I don't understand how it works, but is there point of contact now that can be made anonymously if you've got a problem? If a man's being bashed by his wife, for example.
Yeah.
Good on
Can you do it without being?
You can speak to the Pope because that's very rare.
What do you do? Contact the police?
Well, I presume that's what you do.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
These are all the things we need to know.
You know, this is sort of part of what I want to speak to this woman, Annabelle Nicole, about, because, you know, there's got to be an easy way for women or men who are being abused to disclose their need.
Yes, that's right.
And be supported.
Yeah.
There's probably a domestic violence liaison person in the police.
I'm sure that there is a statewide number. Probably there's a regional number. I'm not familiar with
Because I know
but
women's refuge in Inverell, because when I was in community health,
Still there, I think.
But I still wonder.
Anne Anderson worked there.
The purpose of my question was that if you live at North Star or Copper Creek, are you going to ring someone in Inverell? Needs to be a bit more personal, I reckon.
That's why we need something locally too.
Yeah.
I mean, a refuge in Inverell, there's a refuge in Moree, but a lot of people that are in a crisis situation in our local government area don't have the means to get to those places.
And they also has to be sometimes a vacancy.
Well, they're full. That's right.
You can't.
So one of my
which is really bad. Like, I mean, you have to wait. You're getting bashed, but you have to wait because it's full. Yes, doesn't work, does it?
There's so much more to it as we started to unfold the layers of what's involved. There's a long journey before we get to the housing, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's Matthews, but we need the infrastructure in place and the people around the table, and so we're at that stage where
I tend to think that's more important than the housing. That would have much better function. Maybe you need housing, I don't know, but
housing's a part of it.
The
infrastructure and the means. And
I do think that we have got somewhere to retreat to now, although probably not making it available. But with the living classroom and the new buildings that are going to be built here, we're probably going to be able to cater for that. But it's this reporting centre, or where do you go?
And it's not just a matter of providing a house, because you need to provide a secure. There needs to be. It's very complicated.
Yeah, it is.
But we started the conversation, which is much further ahead than what we were 4 weeks ago, and it will happen. It'll just take time.
I'll be interested to hear.
We sort of think we'll try and set up some sort of support group under the umbrella of a different name. Not a domestic violence support group, but a troubled women's group or whatever.
An ear to the lesson,
and start off in perhaps Binga or Warriota, but then move to the villages if we can gain that momentum.
Mm. And, you know, throwing roosters, not.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, is that you? Or?
That's me.
Thank you. Then
Obviously just roads and rubbish.
what's wrong with the roads, Councillor Molly?
It's dried out.
Yeah. I think
That more potholes.
we're blowing black smoke too. The graders are.
Yeah, no, it's at least it's good to see a little bit of dry weather.
Yes.
So hopefully get on top of it a little bit.
Carl might even come in on this, Carl. How much of that IB bore rate's done now?
They've started on they sealed the first section and they've just stabilised the second kilometre, which is the subgrade. So
it's 1/2 K sealed, I believe.
Yeah. So the next K they'll have some gravel on it before Christmas.
Yeah.
So they're going really well there. The second last section on Horton Road, the 3 kilometres was sealed yesterday. They've only got 3 Ks to go.
Oh, is that right? That's good. Yeah. Very good. Sorry, I didn't want to take away from your report, but
No, that's right. No, and just Cropper Tip needs a little bit of attention there too.
Right.
So it does. The other one was too that Murray Darling Association. They're going to have the Jamie Chaffey, the mayor.
Region 11, yeah.
Region 11, yeah, was trying to have the conference up in this neck of the woods, and obviously expressions of interest. They'll be interested in hosting it, but I think it's probably more Tamworth or.
I think it probably would be short on accommodation, I think, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
But, I don't know how big they are. It's only, it's the whole organisation.
Isn't it? It's the whole organisation anyway. Yeah. So you need to be a pretty big outfit.
Yeah. I read that too today. Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably out of our realm, but probably somewhere Tamworth or Gunnedah might get there.
Yeah. Thank you. You done? Thank you. Nice. Councillor Dixon, I should say.
The Narrabri Road, how's it going to be open before Christmas?
It's looking really good. We got the structural engineers report last Friday, and they came up with a plan of action. We've got our fisheries report or a fisheries permit already approved, and they started yesterday. What they're going to do is pack rock underneath it, drill holes in the slab, and pour grout down through the holes to try and get a mass of concrete underneath it, because it's completely undermined. It's just hanging there, and it's actually part of it's broken off and dropped. That's where you get the big cracks. So they're working on that at the moment, and they're going to try and work over the weekend to get it open by Christmas.
And the new open basketball court, can the kids go there and play over Christmas?
Yeah, they should go to.
It's still wrapped. The orange bench is still around.
Okay, I'll talk to Andrew, but we are waiting for asphalt. I don't know if that's been done yet, but if it's a level surface, I can't see why we can't let them play over there if they want to.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only thing that's waiting to be done, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks, Smash. You done? Yeah. Councillor Egan?
You want it in confidential?
Oh, okay. I can't wait. The skate park, it's obviously not going to be here for Christmas.
No.
Okay, I'll tick it off. Greenchurch, I have to compliment the people down there. It was fantastic, the job they've done, and they've worked very, very hard.
Is it finished?
Yes, we've been down.
So it's been painted?
Yes, it's been painted, it's been moved. They've done an enormous amount of work on a very small budget from council. We didn't give them.
No, we didn't give them.
They raised it themselves. And a letter to them congratulating them on it, and acknowledgement of Heritage Max if they could get onto that register, or we can even tell them that we're doing it. It would be lovely. So that's Barine. We'll have Wacker Williams for our Australia Day ambassador.
Oh, well, that'll be all right.
We found that it's been easy getting some locals, especially during COVID. We didn't have them on planes. We weren't meeting planes. It's been working out quite nicely for us. So Wacker Williams is our ambassador. What have I got written here? To the mayor, did you get a phone call asking for a delegation for childcare?
No.
Okay. I had a call from a parent looking at the lady that used to do it in Bingra's closing down. And I said, well, maybe now that both centres need it, it might be something we could investigate using both centres to make a viable project or Inverell. You know, maybe you get Monday and Wednesday and Tuesday and Friday or something in both centres.
Oh, that you're going to have to the gully halfway or something.
No, but
Yeah.
Bingara's going to end up in the same because we've lost our daycare lady. So I had a father ring about that, and I said the way to do it, he wanted to just come and speak to council. I said, well, ring the mayor and make an appointment.
No, I haven't heard from anyone.
Okay. And on notice at the festival the other night by a resident who told me I was on notice, and it was to do with the Narrabri, wasn't it, Tiffany? Were you there? No. Okay. The Narrabri Road and where the signage was. But I spoke to Alex, and we think we've got the signage in the right place.
What's it to do with road closure signage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she figured it needed to be in a different place. I couldn't work out where it was, but
I think
just mentioning
I
it.
have faith in our outdoor people.
I'm just mentioning it. So then I can take it off my own notice.
Yeah,
Fine.
People tend to grab them and move them off the road. Same as the barriers at Glencoe Causeway, they'll drag them out of the road to drive over it.
Yeah.
So they move around a bit.
I know this lady lives out that way somewhere, but felt that the sign should be somewhere else and they could get around. I said the locals should know what's happening. So I just
Yeah, that's right.
left it.
If you lived on
the
the
local, if you live on the road, the locals will know where the road signs are. If you're not local, there's no point in a caravan going down to that point and then being turned around. So I said, that's my answer. So I think that was right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all from me. Thank
I
you.
think people just like the pitch.
They do.
I'm going to
It's
say,
nothing to do with Dry Creek. Is there such a place as Dry Creek?
Not for a while.
I don't know, Creek. Are they?
No, that one.
Well, road closure signs to Narrabri and Moree, that's where they had them. And the patching Narrabri to Horton. I said, we're working on it as fast as we're able.
Did she live at the Horton?
No, I think her family live on the Narrabri Road and she must visit occasionally.
Anyway, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I'm sure our signs have been in the right place.
I've mentioned it now.
Yeah, okay. Right, well, I've got a couple of things too. First, I was wondering what the office hours were for Christmas here with council.
the office will be
Is it
closed
closed from
12 o'clock on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd.
Yeah,
And reopen on Tuesday the 3rd.
yeah, right. I
It's
thought,
been posted on Facebook too.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen it. No.
But there are a whole lot of contact numbers and you know, like
That's all right.
I think the tips, well, actually, I should tell you the Bingara tip is actually closed because there was a fire there and folks are concerned about the toxic smoke from the carpets and mattresses. But it's closed again today. I don't know if it'll be open again. It's monitored each day to see what it's like because the stuff's going to burn for a couple of days.
Do we know how it started?
No, we don't. But
I was told it must have been, well, there's a fellow from outside who dumped some carpet or mattresses there. And after he drove off, it lit up. So whether it was a cigarette or whether it lit from his exhaust in his truck or something, I don't know. He tipped them out and fired.
Whether he chucked a bit of petrol.
He might have done, I don't know. That was a story that Stuart Dick told me from, and he was there. Well, he got it from the tip manager.
Well, interesting, the same day as I came through Barrowbury, its tip was on fire.
Ah.
Might be doing a tip now.
I thought they might be burning them to make them last longer.
Have they checked for bodies?
I wondered what was wrapped in the carpet.
there wasn't anything wrapped in the carpet, was there?
That's where my mind went.
I don't know. Okay. So the other thing I had was, and I would have dealt with this in a different way, only I got the phone call today. Rob Kavanagh from Stockmaster, I think he is, in Tamworth, he was inquiring as to the truck wash closing overnight. I told him why. He said that the other night he had two trucks on there washing and halfway through the water cut off. just shut off, which would be bugger. But he was wondering if we could extend it to 10 or 11 o'clock at night, because they cart cattle to Inverell, then they want to wash out and load sheep somewhere or something like that. I reckon we ought to. The problem, of course, is getting rid of the water, but it is getting hotter.
It's going to get better now. I think we've got to take the risk on it, because you see them down there, and a lot of them travelling back from Inverell after dropping there. They want to.
I had the same phone call.
Is it possible?
I think we can change it to 10 p.m. if that's what you're asking.
He said 10 or 11, yeah.
On Tuesday, there would have been 8 trucks there parked there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many left there, but there's a lot there on Tuesday. Quite a few.
Do whatever's got to be done to make that up.
Yes, I can do that.
Can you?
Expect a kid.
And if we run into trouble, we'll have to go back. And the other,
What time does it start again in the morning though? 6 a.m.
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure.
How many trucks would wash between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. would be best just to open it again?
yeah, I don't think you get too many there. No.
Well, I think we were having some. That's what.
Well, after 11 o'clock.
Well, I don't know. After 11, we were.
Yeah, the point he made was quite valid. 8 o'clock still sunlight. Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Thing runs, cuts out. But and the other thing that he did say, which is probably endorsing what we're thinking, is that we really need a fuel station there. And it was nice to hear that, because it means that they would fill up there, the sound of it. And for those that haven't heard, we have been considering the Alsatiards and allowing. I keep saying Moores. It's got to go to tender, doesn't it? It'll have to go to tender. But Moores have requested to move their depot, and they are very interested in moving it to the Alsatiard side and then linking into the bypass and also from the highway as well. Sounds like a hell of a good idea to me, but we've got to do everything correctly, and so it would have to be advertised. And we own that land, is that right?
Yes.
So that we would be selling it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, because we're always looking for, Warriala's new industries and things. The trucking, we've been noticed as a trucking capital, because there are a lot of trucks in Warriala and going through Warriala. And I think we talk about all these other things that we want to do, but it's here on our doorstep. I think we've got to push it. So,
and it's pleasing to see the locals are using this truck wash. Turner's trucks on all the time.
Is there any room to expand the pond?
Well,
No, what we want to do is actually have a recycling facility. It'll cost about $300,000. If we're going to lump it into when we get the final figures for the sewage treatment at Bingra, the expansion of the sewage, we'll be looking at possibly borrowing money to do the recycling for that, because it's an asset of the sewage fund in the truck wash.
And that makes a ton of sense to recycle water.
Well, we'd actually then be reusing that water in the truck wash.
Yeah. Then in dry time, put it through the houses. That's a joke. That was a joke, everybody.
we're not defining the grade capital.
Just while we're on water, another thing that came to mind the other day was they had a fire behind the fuel depot up here, Moore's fuel depot.
Oh, yes, it was. Yeah.
And they couldn't find the hydrants on the road because they'd all been covered up with bitumen.
That's funny, because it's only in the last 12 months they did an audit, the fire brigade, didn't they? Of all the, you remember that?
Town brigade did.
Yeah.
But most of the hydrants around town are on haven't they got a thing on the footpath? Haven't they got
a? Carla, no, you know.
They usually have a sign.
That's
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, on that hill out there, they couldn't find the hydrant, but luckily they had the fire out by the time they had an idea where it was anyway.
But fire and rescue, they go around checking them.
Yeah, I can remember the audit really recently. Anyway, you'll know, Carl, the other thing is when will this take place, do you think? When can you get the truck wash happening all the time? 24 hours? How soon? I'll ring Cabinet back, that's all.
Yeah, I'll have to speak to Andrew. Find out how the...
What's the name of the people that operate it? Data Key, is it? Or?
Have data, is it all?
Have data.
Have data, yeah. they're the ones they have to be notified.
Yeah, so Coop manages that one, so I'll speak to him I'll speak to him about getting the signs changed to 11 p.m. Yeah,
But you're going to do it right through now, aren't we?
No,
You still want to go to 11?
well, that's because Leah thinks that there aren't any trucks.
No, I asked the question.
I wouldn't have thought there'd have been much business either. I didn't think it'd be significant.
Thought it'd be tighter.
Right.
I just see him right in my car.
I've got something else I forgot.
Like, I can allow for that at your age, councillor.
That's very nice.
I have to justify it.
A good compliment, isn't it?
Karma.
The town water, how are we going with that bloody town water?
Is it dark again?
Yeah.
That's why they've been flushing.
I was there the other day and there was water in the gutters.
I think it's it's obviously the sediment in the river.
Yeah.
Ours is filthy.
Oh, it's bloody.
They've been around, as you would have seen.
I know they've been
flushing
doing
all
it. Yeah.
Well, when I was coming to town yesterday, the hot water was coming out near Brad's there. They were letting it out, and Stan was down on his hands and knees near the
They won't do him any good.
running.
No.
All right.
Just,
I'm finished now and you've finished.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Nothing else, councillor Nixon, that's it. All right, well, we might break for a cup of tea. So before we do that, I need a motion from the floor, please, to go into confidential session, please. That's up next.
I'm not recording this.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that motion, we're going to confidence. So, Max, would you like to read?
The recommendations from the Committee of the Whole are Organisation of Community Services that the report be received and noted. Statewide Mutual Board, that the Statewide Mutual Board Chair, Mr Matthew Stewart, and its members be thanked for the assistance provided. Community Assets Report, that the report be received and noted. Namoi Regional Job Precinct Update Presentation, that Region New South Wales staff are thanked for the presentation, and the potential for a biogas plant within Guida Shire, the presentation, the request was withdrawn.
Okay. So you'd like to move as we accept that recommendation? I think Councillor Mulligan got the.
Put me down, John. I never came to a meeting.
I'll put that motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no. Carry. There being no further business, I declare the meeting closed. Thank you for attending.